I thought I'll talk about what it means to be aligned with God, because I feel like there are a lot of explanations, there are a lot of assumptions, there are a lot of, you know, conclusions that we draw about it, which I also used to draw. That was not at all correct, and I think the world kind of distorts our view on who the universe is, who the divine is, who God is, and who is this source of all our energy. Because if you are someone that kind of thinks their way into things, or who has an open mind, you kind of would be somebody who would be open to the concept of there being an higher power, or there being a higher power, or there being an entity that is bigger than you or all of us. There would be this pull, this magnetism you would feel towards something that exists even outside of us. Of course, there is divine within us because we're made in the image of divine, but there would be, some kind of rationalization that you would be either grappling with, or you would have already felt. And maybe the answer could be as simple as yes, there is something that is bigger than me, but I don't know like what kind of a figure to give it, what kind of a pedestal to put it on. I don't know what kind of a image to see that in. I don't know what word to use for it, but there is something there, something that kind of navigates us, all of us. And I was the same way. I used to think that maybe sometimes I used to think the way that religious organizations would conduct themselves. Sometimes I would see spiritual organizations conduct themselves, and I would think, okay, so you kind of have to be very involved and very into it and very praying all the time, and giving yourself away to a bigger, higher cause to be considered religious. And for that reason, I myself never considered myself religious. I used to consider myself spiritual, because I used to think that I believe in something bigger existing. I just don't have the words for it. And I used to think maybe I was spiritual, but I never really realized how aligned I was until I was sure I was aligned. So I think that's where this message is coming from. Sometimes we think that the noise around, what it means to be spiritual or religious is so loud that we forget what it actually expects from us, what it really wants from us, what that higher power really wants us to do, because that is our next question, right? If what is wanted from us. And I guess I have an answer with my life in question, and that is, what is wanted from us is to live as if we were our highest selves, which means that we stay in alignment with integrity, with authenticity. We live not praying to God all the time, but living in connection to God all the time, which means we do the things that God would do, which means we would enable others, we would help others, we would uplift others, we would never block or humiliate or disrespect or put down or anything that basically diminishes the other person. So it was kind of very simple when you think about it, that we build such pressure, we build such expectations, because expectations is something we all run from, and expectations is something that we all are they're kind of thrust upon us, aren't they? And while we want to be there for the people, there is this fear of expectation, because puts this unnecessary weight on our shoulders, and it makes us think if we can't commit to something in a huge powerful way, then maybe it's not meant for us and we're not aligned for it. And that is where God comes in, and you start thinking, oh, okay, so if I can't be present in the way that other people are present to God, maybe it's not for me, and maybe I'll pray for the best and hope for the best and just keep on living my life, and hoping that one day I would be okay. And it kind of took me by surprise when I realized that I was already in alignment with God, because I never stooped down from my integrity, never really put anybody above me, but never below me as well. I never put down people to grow higher, and I never could have imagined that that was it. I could have imagined it, could have imagined that, yeah, that's what God wants me to do, because my inner self would keep on saying, I think just God just wants me to be a good person. Like, I don't think God wants me to do a whole show for Him. I'm not saying like what people do is bad, it's sometimes necessary to remind people, but for my personal sake, I always thought God just wants me to be a good person, and that's what I'll just be. And there's a story also, isn't there? The one where there's a joke actually, where two people are talking, and one is a priest. I think he says, why is this person getting a much better position in heaven? And like, I'm not talking about heaven or hell right now, I'm talking about the joke. So he says, why is this person getting such a good treatment when I was the one praying to you? And he said, this person put the fear of God in many people, and he brought them to the right path just from how vicious he was. So he's getting a better role now in life, in not life after you've passed on. And I think that is what God really wants us to do. Not turn into a person which makes other people think of God, but at the same time be somebody who embodies God, somebody who reminds other people that it's kind of necessary and important for your own well-being to choose the right path and stay on the right track, and things will align for you, if not now, tomorrow. And that is an important realization that brings you closer to God, not away from God. God does not want, I'm not sure, I'm speaking from my own experience, but I feel God does not want a whole show about Him. He wants more people acting in the way that He would act. He does not want, I probably shouldn't say this, but sometimes I feel like us as people, we make mistakes and then we take the name of God to be kind of freed from the actions that we are making consciously. And sometimes we are trying to redeem ourselves from the bad things that we are doing by taking the name of God, but that's not how it works, honestly. If you are hurting other people and if you are bringing down other people knowingly or unknowingly, you're not aligned. You're not aligned just because you have built an altar in your home for God, or if you have already built a temple, if you've already built something or the other for God, but you don't honor what God has created, not aligned. You're not aligned. If you dishonor everything that He has put in effort to bring into the world, but you keep praying to Him as if to be forgiven by Him, that's not what He wants. What He wants is to you become an example of Him. What He wants is for you to show up in the way the world should show up, and do it even if you feel like you're alone. That's what He wants. He wants more people to be courageous. He wants more people to be living in integrity, living in authenticity. He wants more people blessing others. He does not want grand celebrations. He does not want demonstrations of how grateful you are to Him that He exists and that He's there for you. He wants you to demonstrate that you understand Him and His mission. That's it. So if you feel like you were somebody like me, but you didn't really know where you existed in God's mind. I remember I was once talking to my friend, and this friend asked me, like, do you pray? And I said, I don't pray because I have not prayed before. So I used to think that I'm not probably like in good books of God because I don't pray. And this person said, you have these feelings about God? Like God is judging you, and that's what he was trying to say. And that really clicked, and I thought, that's a good point. Like, sometimes God does not want us to demonstrate our faith in Him through, yes, sometimes rituals are important, but He does not want us to display big gestures. He wants us to live big gestures. And you know what? Living is much harder than displaying. Living is much harder when you live in the right manner. I think people who will not agree with me right now. People who would rather do rituals but not live in the right way. I think they do the rituals because they can't live in the right way. Because they know they are going wrong somewhere, and they want to be in the good books of God because they feel more than I ever felt that God existed. These people know something is there. That's not how God works. You can't just not change, and ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness comes when you change also. And it's okay for you to make mistakes. Kind of expected from you at this point that you would be making mistakes. What is expected from you also is that you will wake up one day and you will realize that the steps you took or the things that you did, honestly, not even for God, but it was not good for you. I think whenever there's a quote, I think it's by Mahatma Gandhi, I'm not sure. It says, when what you feel, what you think, and what you do are in alignment, that's when you know peace. Or that's when you know harmony. Or when they are in harmony, that's when you know peace. So, but imagine how hard it is for us to be in alignment with all three of these. In what we feel, what we think, and what we do. It's a lot. And what we feel. So if we feel strong to think strong and to be strong, if we feel this is the right way to be, or if we teach our children one thing and we feel like that is what you should teach our children, but we work in a completely different way because we think we're not being seen by anyone or the children are not there, so who cares? When we feel and what we're still being tested. If you think nobody's watching, then who are you praying to? We're still being watched in not in a way that it's interrogation, or not watched in a way that it's imprisonment. No, not watched in that way. Watched in a way that a mother watches a child. Watched in a way that there is privacy, at the same time there is knowledge of your well-being, same way. So that is what is expected of us, and what we feel and what we think and what we do is in harmony. When it's in alignment, you will know the way of God and the way of the divine, whatever is higher among us, within us. So that can be your worship, that can be your dedication, that can be your offering to humanity and to God. Thinking, feeling, and doing right. That's it. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help from God. It's okay to ask for help from the divine. It's okay to ask the universe to step in. It's okay to ask that maybe I'm not feeling so good today, you take over. Or maybe I'm feeling great but I don't want to do it, so you take over. Both are fine. Okay? You are assisted. You are loved and you are cared for. There will be moments in your life that you could go back into and just watch and just know that was kind of that was support to the fact that you were guided and loved. How things are working out for you. When you see others and you see their lives, you start to become more grateful for yours. So you understand you are supported, right? So that is how you can stay aligned.